actual end of the road, but the end of the regular season road, and now is where legends are truly made. 6 teams in, 4 teams out. The trash talk ratcheted up a bit. One of the 6 teams in definitely fell backwards into the playoffs. More on that in a little bit. As for the bottom 4, myself included, kind of a bummer. There's always that, well, we can look towards next year. The bottom 4 seeds are as follows. Salty finished up number 7, lost 5 games in a row to end the season. There was a time when his team looked hot, but boy did it fall apart and just become a giant mess in the end. I took the number 8 seed because of a 1.5-point loss to Salt Marsh, otherwise I would have taken 7th. Not that it really matters, we're all on the clock now anyways. Eric at number 9, and John falls down to the number 10 seed. As far as the 6 teams that are in, we're going to get into a segment a little bit later when I go through the odds and I rank. I give the odds as to who I think has the best chance of winning the Fantasy Bowl and who has the worst chance of winning the Fantasy Bowl. So right to the game that mattered this week, it was me versus Swart. In the end, I guess it was a close game, exciting. It went down to Monday night, and it came down to Moncrief not getting as many points as necessary. 66 for me, 65 for Swart, but in the end, it didn't matter. He loses, but so did Salty, so Adam Swart then becomes the number 6 seed. I finished the season on a 3-game win streak. Not bad. One more week. Give me one more week, and I totally would have leapfrogged somebody and made the playoffs. Now all I can do is just, I guess, think about what could have been. What, let's be honest, should have been. Now, to the 6 teams that are in the playoffs, and I will rank them. Of course, you've got some perennial favorites. You've got someone that took a couple years off from the playoffs back in. Here we go, from bottom to top, the rankings as I see them. Matt, 50-1 odds, and let's be honest, this is really only because I don't know if you're going to submit a lineup. If you do, great. If not, well, then you're going to give Andy a free win, kind of like you did me a couple of years ago. You do have great running backs, but no wide receivers. Next up on the odds list, Adam Swart, 20-1 odds. No running back over 84. I mean, let's be honest, you're going to need some amazing above and beyond performances from your running backs to compete against Ryan Deesum. But then again, Des Bryant could be the wild card in this one. If that team continues to dominate and the relationship with Dak Prescott improves, then maybe, just maybe, we're going to see him take the next step and maybe you squeak by that first round against Deesum. Next up, which soon will be my guest here on the show in just a moment or two, Andy, 12-1 odds. Now, the one thing with Andy, I don't think he has a lot of depth. He's got starters. Beyond that, there isn't much to talk about unless he wants to take the rookie keeper tag off of Jordan Howard. Boy, wouldn't that make things interesting. Ryan Deesum comes in next. Ryan Deesum's Titties and Balls, might I add, comes in next. 10-1 odds. He's got better depth than Andy. Not much, but better depth. And, oh, by the way, the Raiders, who are kind of the best team in football. So as long as he's got those guys rolling for him, then maybe, just maybe, he's got enough and he has what it takes. Next, Sid, 5-1 odds. Jeff at the top of the list, 2-1 odds. Now, they fought this week. Jeff ended up blowing the doors off of Sid, but in the end, it doesn't really matter unless Jeff is able to take that to the bank and all the way to the Fantasy Bowl title and finish what he started. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and I've got this set up where I'm going to actually get on the phone one of the playoff competitors, owner of Bazinga, Andy, of course, my brother. Going to put him on the phone here, and we're going to talk to him about what he thinks about this year's playoffs and about his 6-year consecutive playoff streak, the longest in the league, might I add. And so let's go ahead and give him a call, get him on the line here, and see how he's doing this evening. Waiting for the phone to ring here. Oh, I got to put it on speaker. Are you there? Nope, it's ringing. All right, we're ringing. It's exciting. First time guest. Hey, Andy, how's it going tonight?
Hey, things are good.
Well, of course, right? You're in the playoffs, so things are always good when you're in the playoffs. And speaking of such, I did some math earlier today. Not the kind of complicated math that Jeff does from time to time, but you have now made the playoffs in a league, the league high 6 consecutive years. The next closest two were both 3 years.
And don't forget 4 of those last 5 I made the championship game as well.
Right. So, okay, so 4 of the last 5 Fantasy Bowl appearances. What is it? What do you do? What are you able to? How are you able to year after year be competitive in the FTFL?
I try to be unlike everybody else in the FTFL. You have teams that, sacrifice the future for today, and it blows up in their face.
Yeah.
You have teams that, sandbag and trade away all their players in hopes that they can make a magical difference from draft the next year, and they blow that.
I suppose.
I just like to be steady. Get your key players, keep your key players. My keepers don't change very often. When they do, it's because it's an upgrade. So I just like to be nice and even keeled.
Right. No, I will mention that the one guy you didn't keep for very long was Donovan McNabb, and I don't know why. I don't understand.
I can't recall him being on my team.
Okay. I thought maybe he was once. Maybe he was once.
He obviously wasn't a part of a winning tradition that I had. So
it's not his fault. It's not his fault. So now you're up against 5 other people in the playoffs. Now, of course, your opponent this week, the Architect, he might not even submit a lineup. So what are you feeling about that matchup this week?
I feel good about that. When I think about the playoffs, it brings me back to the good old days, back when Markster used to add up the scores from the morning paper, back when our trophies, were real. The first trophy we ever really played for was Jeff's sister.
Whoa! Whoa!
The more they release
the family.
Funny enough, Jeff actually used to win a lot back then too, which is kind of funny.
He did. He does.
Every year we have strong and weak teams. Sometimes franchises, they change. Or in the case of the Cleveland Browns, the Pack Attack, Stinkowitz. Sometimes they stay the same. Lots of draft picks, lots of losses. Other teams trade away their future for more draft picks and screw those up. That'd be your team. Martha, she's playing well. She plays the roles of the Patriots. He's made some savvy trades this year, led to lots of wins.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, he's like the Seahawks. Talks a lot of crap. Backs it up sometimes. Other times, falls flat on his face.
I think Sid's more like the Yankees. He spends lots of money, and every once in a while he gets lucky.
Yeah, we'll see how that ends up for him this year. He definitely filled the pot, without a doubt.
Right.
Teams like Linkowitz, where she's actually getting better at losing. I don't know if that's good or bad, but he's getting better at it. Salty, she pissed away the entire season. Gave her last 5 weeks, 5 losses in a row.
5 in a row. That was tough. That was a lot of losses.
And she hung on. She's in it. But at the end of the day, it comes down that there's 6 teams left every year. There's 6 teams that have a chance to cash in, win some money, some bragging rights, real trophies, not little bowling trophies like yours.
Whoa, this is a third-place championship. I don't understand.
I've got some good players. I've got some really strong players, and I feel like I've got some good matchups. So,
well, I have you at 12-1 odds to win, right behind Decim at 10-1. I kind of feel that your depth isn't quite what some of the other teams now. Will you or will you not remove the rookie tag from Jordan Howard? This is the playoffs.
No need. Thomas Rawls is back. He showed it last week. He plays the lowly Packers defense.
Okay, you know what? All right, you know what? We've had just about enough time here now. I appreciate you, taking some time out of your evening tonight to get to us. I wish you all the luck in the playoffs. Again, 6 years in a row in the playoffs. That's amazing. Best of luck, Andy, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Much appreciated. Enjoy your off season.
Bye-bye. All right, well, that was super awesome to have Andy on there. A couple more things I want to get to here before we go. And of course, we're going to get to the stud and the dud and the decim. One more blast from the past. I was looking back again, finding some old things. The 2-point controversy this week. What rules should we have? What rules should we not have? Here's a message from the commissioner in 06, which may have been me. At the very end of the season. As the season draws to a close, albeit not the clean close we all hope for, it's definitely time for us all to face the facts. When it comes to rules, there's much that was unforeseen and unaccounted for in our league bylaws. The situations we've muddled through this year make that painfully obvious. As much as some of you would like to put an asterisk by the champion this year, that is obviously not going to happen. Sure, there are plenty of reasons that owners have come up with to justify such a measure, but really, in the end, we have no one to blame but ourselves and maybe Donovan McNabb, that pile. For the last few years, our league has cruised along without as much of a speed bump to slow us down. Along with the easygoing times, there wasn't much thought or reason about it for possible rules for the unthinkable situations. Well, now there is. The Elias Sports Bureau reseeding and many more factors will all be looked at next year before our draft. There's nothing more we can do this year to attend everyone's questions, complaints, concerns, and so on. I would suggest to all of you to write down any questions, concerns you have on a special piece of paper and put it in a special place for next year's draft, so you can bring it with. I've started my own list, but I'm sure I'll forget stuff that everyone will be quick to point out. As I said earlier this year, the FTFL is a league run by all of us. I'm just here to facilitate. I truly hope that no one is so put off by the events this year that they have lost sleep, are considering self-harm, or in worst case scenario, are ready to swear off football altogether. Fantasy football is a game. Like all games, it has rules. It just appears that ours are incomplete and need to be addressed. Now we know. That was 10 years ago. We haven't gone any further along that line. We need to sit down. We need an actual constitution, bylaws. We need to take the time to try to avoid some of the things that happened then that are still happening now. All right, real quick here. David Johnson, stud of the week, 26.5 points. He has carried Jeff's team all season long. Dud of the week, Cam Newton, 12. Now, 12's not bad, but let's be honest. That guy has this sandbag, salty season. Many owners across the country were affected by Cam Newton and his terribleness this season. The DSUM award, the DSUM update, all you need to do is see the stud of the week and you can connect the dots. This week, Jeff and Sid, you've got a bye. In the actual winners bracket, Adam Swartz, I'm hung up against Ryan Deesum's Titties and Balls. The Architect versus Bazinga in the consolation bracket. Hulkamaniacs versus Pack Attack. The brother-in-law versus brother-in-law. Linkowitz versus Radioactive Monkeys. And now, before I send you off, before I wrap a bow on this, I want to tell you what. Next week, we'll cover results, maybe another guest, and we're going to find out what this trophy is all about. Until then, my fellow FTFLers, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.